Bad news! The Baltimore Ravens are facing a tough situation ahead of Monday's game. The situation has the coaches worried, and it certainly has me worried too. I'll tell you all the details. But first, make sure you've hit the like button if you believe the Baltimore Ravens will beat the Chargers in their next game. I do. If possible, write something like this: Lamar Jackson, please don't get hurt. So let's get to the point. And the big question is, will Roquan Smith make it to the field? Earlier this week, head coach John Harbaugh left the door open, stating that there was still a chance Smith could play, but so far the signs don't look good. Linebackers coach Zach Orr shared some optimism, saying the team was still hopeful. But with Smith not practicing this week, the chances are slim. Reading between the lines, it seems unlikely that Smith will be ready to face the Chargers, and that's a big blow to the Ravens' defense. Roquan Smith, who has had a challenging season, was finally starting to look his best in recent weeks. His standout performance in the Steelers game reminded fans of the impact he can have. But then came the hamstring injury, throwing everything into uncertainty. While there is still some hope for a miraculous recovery, the chances are slim, and all eyes are on how the Ravens will adjust in his absence. Against the Steelers, the team handed the defensive green spot, essentially the responsibility of calling plays on the field, to Kyle Hamilton, who stepped up admirably. But Hamilton is a safety, and replacing Smith at linebacker will require more than one player. Zach Orr mentioned the possibility of a linebacker-by-committee approach, with names like Malik Harrison, Trenton Simpson, and Chris Board being floated as potential contributors. The coaching staff will need to adapt based on the Chargers' offensive schemes, and it won't be an easy task. Even though Smith has had ups and downs this season, his presence in the middle of the defense is undeniable. His absence will force the Ravens to rely on less experienced players, and that's a gamble against a team as dynamic as the Chargers. Injuries aren't just affecting Smith, though. The Ravens roster is starting to feel the strain. Center Tyler Linderbaum popped up on the injury report this week after missing practice, though this isn't the first time he's had a midweek absence before ultimately playing. Nelson Agholor was out briefly with an illness but returned to practice, which is good news. However, defensive tackle Travis Jones has also missed time, and his potential absence looms large. Jones has been a critical piece of the Ravens' run defense and pass rush, but an ankle injury that's been bothering him for weeks might keep him off the field against the Chargers. His limited effectiveness in the Steelers game showed how much the Ravens need him healthy. With both Smith and Jones potentially sidelined, the Ravens' defense will be under immense pressure. While they've shown flashes of brilliance, like holding the Steelers to 0 touchdowns in their last matchup, these injuries could expose vulnerabilities. The middle of the defense, in particular, could become a target for the Chargers' offense, which is likely to exploit any weaknesses. Add to that the absence of key depth players like Arthur Mollett, who is dealing with a calf and hamstring injury, and the Ravens are looking at a steep uphill battle. The team has already demonstrated resilience this season, adapting to various challenges, but the stakes are higher now. Every game is crucial in the fight for playoff positioning, and the Ravens can't afford to slip. The Chargers are a formidable opponent, and without key defensive players, the Ravens will need to rely heavily on their offense and remaining defensive standouts to carry the load.
What does this mean for the Ravens' playoff hopes? How will they manage without Roquan Smith and potentially Travis Jones? And what adjustments can the coaching staff make to keep the defense performing at a high level? Fans, I want to hear from you. How do you think the Ravens should handle this growing list of injuries? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep this conversation going. Without Roquan Smith, the Ravens are entering uncharted territory, and the question of leadership on the field becomes even more critical. Smith isn't just a playmaker, he's the quarterback of the defense. His ability to read offenses, adjust alignments, and call plays in real time is a major factor in the Ravens' defensive success. Losing that voice, especially against a quarterback as sharp as Justin Herbert, raises the stakes dramatically. While Kyle Hamilton managed the green dot against the Steelers, the dynamic is entirely different when facing a high-powered Chargers offense. Hamilton's versatility as a safety is impressive, but asking him to take over Smith's responsibilities adds extra weight to his plate. Meanwhile, the linebacker core is under the spotlight. Trenton Simpson, the rookie from Clemson, has shown flashes of potential, but trusting a young player to step into such a critical role against a team like the Chargers could be risky. Malik Harrison, with more experience, might be leaned on to stabilize the unit, but his skill set is different from Smith's, and the Ravens will need to adapt their strategy accordingly. Chris Board, a player with special teams expertise, could see more snaps in specific packages, but he's not a one-for-one replacement for Smith either. The Ravens coaching staff has no choice but to get creative. The front seven as a whole will need to elevate their game, especially if Travis Jones isn't available. Michael Pierce and Broderick Washington have done a solid job holding down the defensive line, but Jones' athleticism and ability to disrupt plays in the backfield are hard to replace. His ankle injury has been a lingering issue, and while the team has managed without him at full strength in previous games, his absence would be felt deeply against the Chargers' balanced attack. Offensively, the Ravens might need to compensate for potential defensive struggles by putting up points early and often. Lamar Jackson has been playing at an MVP level, and his connection with Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews has been the backbone of the offense. However, the Chargers' defense, led by Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, won't make things easy. Establishing the run game with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill will be critical to controlling the clock and keeping Herbert and the Chargers' offense off the field. Special teams could also play a pivotal role. With Justin Tucker, the Ravens always have a weapon for long-range field goals, but punter Jordan Stout's ability to pin opponents deep in their territory might be just as important. In a game where field position could decide the outcome, every kick and return will matter. Devin DuVernay's explosiveness as a returner could provide the spark the Ravens need, especially if the offense or defense struggles to gain momentum. The Ravens face one of their toughest challenges yet, with injuries piling up and a critical game against the Chargers looming. This season has already tested the team's depth and resilience, but the stakes have never been higher. The Chargers, fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive, are bringing everything they've got. For Baltimore, this game isn't just about another win. It's about proving they can overcome adversity and solidify themselves as serious postseason contenders. For fans, this week is an emotional ride. Seeing key players sidelined is tough, but it also highlights the heart and determination this team embodies. The Ravens have repeatedly found ways to adapt, but losing a leader like Roquan Smith raises questions about the defense's ability to maintain its dominance. Meanwhile, the offense, led by Lamar Jackson, may need to shoulder even more responsibility to secure the win. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Do you trust the Ravens' depth to rise to the occasion? Can the offense deliver if the defense falters? Share your thoughts and let's prepare for what promises to be a thrilling battle against the Chargers. The Ravens are going to the Super Bowl. Yes, I believe it, and you should too. With everything this team has faced, every challenge overcome, and every victory earned, it's clear we're destined for something great. The next step in this incredible journey is taking down the Chargers. Now is the time to focus on what truly matters. We have a talented, resilient, and determined team. Lamar Jackson is playing at an elite level, the defense has proven its strength despite the challenges, and the team spirit is undeniable. So let's do this together. Cheering, believing, and celebrating every moment. This season is special, and we're making history. Let's start with a statement win against the Chargers and make it clear to the entire league that the Ravens are ready to shine on football's biggest stage. The Super Bowl is waiting, and we're on our way.